how do you envision the future of animation, and what's the Pixar master plan to stay ahead of the game?
Well, the good news about animation is over the last couple decades, it's actually grown in popularity both in cinema and in television and streaming and games and everything really. And the marketplace for animators and people who love animation is huge compared to what it was in the past. And all of these different areas continue to have growth in them. I think we've seen really exciting trends in animation and feature animation where people are trying different stylistic approaches and things such as that, and kind of growing into different ideas that way. I think for Pixar, you know, in a funny way, I think our business plan is the same, and it's to try to, we ask our directors and our creators to find the emotional core of something that's really meaningful to them, and then build a film around that, if that makes sense. And I've got a couple examples. I know when Andrew Stanton made Finding Nemo, he was a young father, and he was struggling with how do I raise a child? How much protection do I give them? How much freedom do I give them? How do I balance that stuff? And I think that's sort of what drives that film. It's a film about fish, obviously, but the things he was struggling with at the time sort of fueled that. And I'd say the same when I think of Inside Out with Pete Docter. He was watching his young daughter go from being an 11-year-old to a 12-year-old. She was this boisterous young girl, and she was even the character that Ellie at the beginning, the girl character of Ellie at the beginning of Up was modeled after. In fact, she does the voice performance of that character. And then when she turned 12, all of a sudden she got kind of quiet and sullen and would sit in the corner and kind of mopey and so forth, and he couldn't figure out what was going on, so he started studying it and finding out what happens to people at that age, and why is there that personality shift that happens so often and so forth. And that really propelled making Inside Out, and kind of coming up eventually with that idea of the balance of joy and sadness that people kind of have to have in their life to make the whole thing work. So we encourage our directors to look for some meaningful emotional grist. It doesn't have to be what the movie becomes about, but we want it to fuel the movie. And it's important to have comedy and entertainment in it, but I think what distinguishes our films most of the time is the emotional core, and building a film around that. It's funny, sometimes we'll go to our movies, there won't be as much laughter as there'll be in other movies, but people seem to be more deeply touched by them as a result of that. So I think, you know, that's kind of we see that as our reason to be making these films, to try to have relatable emotional experiences that are universal and all kinds of people can connect with, regardless of who they are and where they're from.